So, good day everyone. I am Aina Dingkong, one of the member of the Group 9, and our topic for today is select, develop, organize, and use appropriate teaching and learning resources, including the ICT to address the learning goals. But before that, I will introduce you the member of the Group 9. So, I am Aina Dingkong. We have Lorigel Hintapa, Kathleen Mayto Balado, and Marian Paradero. The proper selection, development, organization, and utilization of teaching and learning resources, including the ICT, help enhance and maximize learning participation through providing them with teacher and learning resources that can be seen or heard with provide concrete experience about the lesson. This TLR should not only give privacy to the classroom setting by adding color and appeal to the learner, but also help the teacher address the learning goals. And also, using engaging visual and activities, both physical and digital, makes learning more fun and effective from students. This boosts their participation and help them understand the lesson better. In this module, we will focus on the strand, which is the teaching and learning resources, including the ICT. Indicators, which is to select, develop, organize, and use appropriate teaching and learning resources, including the ICT to address the learning goals. The key concept of this topic is learning goals. These are the broad statement of learning outcomes which include content and performance standard. Teaching and learning resources. These refer to the resources used in the teaching and learning process, such as a teaching resources have a curriculum guide and a teaching manuals. Learning resources have learning materials and worksheets. Inclusion of information and communication technology, or the ICT. This refer to the integration of ICT in the teaching and learning process. This also include digital resources download from the Learning Resources Management and Development System, or the LRMDS portal, YouTube, and the like. Suggestion from improvement. We commend teacher Nomi from coming up with a good lesson log about the text type. She used teaching and learning process resources throughout the 3-day lesson. So in teacher Nomi, in her 3-day lesson, he used the teaching and learning process resources. He also adopt another learning resources that are genetic and surely engage the learner to actively participate in the class discussion. So also, teacher Nomi have adopted, or he used another learning resources so that her student have actively participate in her class discussion. However, to better help her enhance her lesson log, these following suggestions may be considered. The number 1 is for part B, develop mastery. Teacher Nomi directed the learners to write their answer on a Manila paper. It would have been better had she illustrate the learner wall in the Manila paper using the meta card. This would be help the learner categorize ideas and concept about the text type. The second is through teacher Nomi use guide tables and meta cards to evaluate learner. The activity is not aligned with the learning goals. The learning goals is to discuss the text type and not to define them. It would have been better she have provide another activity, or TLR, to evaluate learner. Illustration of practice. We will consider the following scenario to help us to fully understand the indicator. Teacher Mart needs to teach his learner the lesson on recount. He ensured that the learners will fully understand the process on how to write interest recount using various sentences structures. In his completion of instructional materials, or the IM, he finds some related materials, pictures, and chart. He also researched the Learning Resources Management and Development System, or the LRMDS portal for additional appropriate teaching and learning resources. Consider his learning goals and the nature of his learner, he finally thinks that interactive materials from the portal will greatly aid him in instructor.
Okay, let's proceed to illustrations of practice number 1, selecting appropriate teaching and learning resources. Teacher mark includes in the selection processes that existing materials. With an array of available teaching materials, his decision is primarily based on the nature of his learner. So here are the selections of appropriate teaching and learning resources, or TLR, plays an important role in curriculum delivery. So this TLR sets the foundations of developing deeper engagement of the learner that will facilitate the completion of knowledge and skills. So, the purpose of this policy is to outline the department policy and guidance on the selecting suitable teaching and learning resources for students. So, in summary, school must ensure that teaching and learning resources provide students with challenging and engagement programs that do not offend student or to wider school community due to their offensive or controversial nature. So, school must be ensured that the teaching about religious and cultural beliefs and practices are handled with sensitivity, consistent with the policy and guidance. Okay, let's proceed to illustrations of practice number 2, developing and organizing appropriate teaching and learning resources. Teacher Faye is preparing her learner for a listening activity. She is looking for a literary piece from Anglo-American literature which will enable her learners to infer thoughts, feelings, and intentions in the material's view. Analyze literature as a means of discovering the self, distinguish between and among informative, journalistic, and literary writing, and use the appropriate segmentals and the suprasegmentals of speech when delivering lines of poetry, such as speech choir, jazz, and raps. So, she's able to find a suitable resource in YouTube. However, she intended to maximize the existing materials and targeting the developmental or of other skills. And also, she is challenged to develop her own learning materials which will integrate 4 domains in one lesson presentation. Okay, in this table, we have here the objectives. So in the objectives, we have a content standard, performance standard, and C, learning competencies or objectives. So in the content standard, the learner demonstrates understanding on how Anglo-American literature and other test types serve as a means of enhancing the self, how to use processing, assessing, summarizing information, words, deliberations, and formation strategies. So, in the performance standard, we have the learner actively participate in speech choir through using effective verbal and nonverbal strategies. So, in learning competencies, the learning competencies target and daily lesson plan helps to meet the content and performance standard, which are the learning goals. So, therefore, Teacher Faye considers the learning goals in selecting the TLRs to be used in the lesson. So, let's proceed to procedure. So, let us focus on how Teacher Faye comes up with the use of TLR and the review of previous lesson. So here are the tables. So in procedures, we have reviewing the previous lessons or presenting the new lesson. So as you can see in the table, she wants her learner to apply their learning on stress since she wants the review to be interactive and engaging to everyone. She comes up with the develop material. So as you can see in the table, the class will be given a sentence written or meta cards. So as you can see in that table. Okay, let's proceed to What things did teacher Mary Faye consider in developing an available TLR? So we have here the question to ponder and also possible responses and remarks. So as you can see in that table. Okay, our ability to localize or indigenize materials makes us adaptable to our classroom situation. So in this encourage that we develop localized and integrated materials that are aligned with the learning goals. So let's proceed here again in the table. So we have here the objectives. Establishing the purpose for the lesson. So the teacher discussed the objectives of the lesson. C. Presenting examples, instances of the new lesson. So we have here the group activity. So group 1, biography of William Shakespeare. Interview. Group 2, we have here some summary of Hamlet. Group 3, we have here the character sketch of Ophelia. Group 4, character analysis of Ophelia. So we have here monologue. So in this activity, teacher Faye selects the consisting learning materials. She also finds out that there is a need to develop other materials that will support the learner competencies that is aligned to the learning goals. So in that table, the following are the presentations. So group 1, interview. Group 2, press release. Group 3, commentaries. And group 4, we have here the monologue. So in that group activity, teacher Faye take time to develop her activity materials, particularly the interview sheet. She also includes rubrics in her lesson to ensure that all the learner and the deliverable of the learners shall be graded accordingly. So indeed, discussing new concept and practicing new skills, number 1. So each group will be presented their output. So the rubrics will be used in the grading output. So yeah. So in the procedure, so discussing new concept and practicing new skills, number 2. So teacher Faye also considered the availability of the online resources. She acknowledged the learner's interest towards technology. She takes into considerations the learner style, since most of them are inclined to technology. So we have here in the discussing watching YouTube presentations of 5 truths. So yeah, that the students will use a teacher made observation sheet about getting inference about thoughts, feelings, and intentions on that materials viewed. So yeah, kanang video presentation. So also we have additional activities for the applications or remediation. So digital comic scripts, so rubrics and evaluating digital comic scripts. So in that procedure, teacher Faye demonstrate positive use of ICT in her lesson, as she asked for an authentic output from the learners, which is ICT enabled. Now that TLRs are appropriately selected, developed, and organized, we are ready to use them to make learning more engaging and interesting to the learner. So join me in our guest for ensuring the appropriate use of TLRs as we go to the next illustrations of practice.
Of practice number 3, organization and utilization of appropriate teaching and learning resources. As proficient teachers, you may not opt to consider the following various ways to appropriate use teaching and learning resources for each of the subject learning areas. The first table presents various learning resources in teaching math. Use of manipulatives in teaching math concept. Manipulatives and uses. counters to teach and one-on-one corresponds ordinal numbers and basic addition and subtraction, counting cubes to solve simple addition and subtraction equation, fraction stripe or pieces to add and subtract fraction or to show equivalent fraction to represent different fractional concepts and relationship. Pattern blocks attribute blocks geometric shapes of different color sizes and scales to assess learners in learning basic algebra, to assist learners in classifying and patterning tasks. Next is Bain-Tin blocks to represent and perform operation in multi-digit numbers such as 352 plus 461. Use of manipulative in teaching math concepts. Manipulatives and uses. Geoboards uses to identify simple geometric shapes, geometrical and solid models to learn about spatial reasoning. Standard and non-standard rulers and measuring cups uses to represent length or volume in measurement lessons. Tiles uses to calculate the area or perimeter of an object. Spinors uses to find the probability of landing in a designated area. Number of cases or dice uses to find the probability of rolling a certain number or combination of numbers. So next is Teacher Jaharki teaches his class the lesson on fraction. He provides them with a lot of manipulatives such as counting sticks, zero boards, dice, and solid blocks. He explained the activity and asked in grade 6 learners to use manipulatives to explore and familiarize concepts about fraction. Before the end of the lesson, he gives a 5-item quiz, and to his surprise, none of the learners answered them correctly. What could be the problem in this scenario? Actually, there is no problem with the use of manipulatives in the activity or any mathematics or mathematics-related subject. However, teacher Joharke did not identify first the specific learner goal or goals. Hence, he was not able to identify the objects for using the manipulatives. Manipulatives can be extremely helpful or not helpful at all to our learners. Our learners must understand the mathematical concept being taught rather than simply moving the manipulatives around. The math and manipulatives should be appropriate for the learners and should be chosen to meet the specific goals and objective of the mathematical program. In the next table, we present various instructional material used in teaching science. Various instructional materials and their uses in teaching science. Medium, uses, advantages, disadvantages. Charts, posters, bulletin boards. Uses: attract attention, arouse interest, reinforce, add dimension, provide concrete meanings to abstract ideas. Advantages: inexpensive, no equipment needed, easy to use and so readily available. Disadvantages: limited to 2 dimension, no motion. Overhead transparencies. Uses: graphic presentations. Advantages: inexpensive software, availability, size. Disadvantages: important, require less common equipment. Next is handouts for important information, as a quiz, as a guide, and as a reminder to emphasize a point for a complete explanation. Disadvantages: can be prepared in advance, can be retained for future reference and review. Disadvantages: some learners do not like to read handouts. Next is audio tapes, compact disc audio. Uses: music fitness, create a mood. Disadvantages: ease of production of tapes, low cost, accessible. Disadvantages: portable player is bulkier and heavier than other equipment like MP3 player. Next is videotapes, film, CD, visual DVDs. Uses: evaluation of learner performance, self-evaluation of learner or teacher, magnify an object. Advantages: instant replay, can be saved for future use, inexpensive, portable. Disadvantages: they require equipment such as portable players and other audiovisual devices may not be guaranteed. So next is Videotapes, films, CD, visual DVDs. Uses learners can make their own videos, stimulate verbal communication and creativity, present meaning involving motion, compel attention, heighten reality, promote understanding of abstract concept. Advantages: ease of operation, can be interfaced with a computer for individualized instruction. Disadvantages: learning tasks they need to be supplemented by other teaching methods. Computers uses computer assisted instruction, record keeping, word processing. Advantages: high interest, fast. Disadvantages: equipment over limited to computer lab or resource center. Illustrated lecture with computer or slide projector. Uses enhancement of concept. Advantages: inexpensive software can be combined with audio. Disadvantages: requires darkened room. Magnetic boards. Uses strategic talks. Advantages: easy to use, attention getting, least hazardous, especially for the asthmatic people. Disadvantages: more expensive than chalkboard, not available in all stores. Objectives and displays. Uses: exemplifies real life situation. Advantages: higher reality 3D. Disadvantages: sometimes displays are expensive but not very engaging for learners. So next is learners resources and uses. Audiobooks uses improve the learner's listening comprehension and vocabulary. So audiobooks, it helps students to improve their comprehension and vocabulary. Dictionaries uses bilingual dictionaries are useful for beginners and intermediate learners. Monolingual dictionaries are useful for advanced learners. Pocket dictionaries are easy to carry and good for quick reference. Electronic dictionaries are portable, easy, and quick to search. So the bilingual dictionaries are useful for the beginners, and it helps them to more about bilingual dictionaries. Monolingual dictionaries are useful for advanced learners, and the pocket dictionaries is easy to carry and good for quick. So next is videotapes. Enhance the listening experience of the learners, provides important visual stimulus for language production as observed in the setting action, emotion, and gestures. So videotapes, it can help the students to listen and experience about the videotapes, and it and also it can they can observe the emotions and gestures. So next is recording devices. Tape records, video cameras. Uses record conversation, radio programs, songs, classes, and lectures, and help the learners improve listening comprehensions. So recording devices, it helps students to improve their listening comprehensions and to know the different programs in the recording devices. So next is computer software. Some computer programs are designed to accelerate language acquisition, supplements the core language program used in the classroom. So next is flashcard. Uses for learning vocabulary and grammar, used to write words, phrases, or sentence on one side and meaning or definition or translation on the other sides. So flashcards, it helps students to test their abilities and in writing and to identify the different meaning or definitions. So next, it's short. Useful in learning sounds, word, connected speech. Next is picture. Uses improve the learner's understanding of language through pictures of objectives, people, animal, plants, and others. Next is newspaper and magazine. brings the real-life situation to learners, and used to enhance skills in reading, writing, listening, and speaking, used to reflect the culture of a certain community through the language they contain. So next is the use of computer PowerPoint, slide decks, projectors, video films is effective in teaching araling panlipunan. Every teacher needs instructional materials that suit the method and strategy that could fully develop the technical skills of learners to assure meaningful and effective edukasyong pantahanan at pangkabuhayan, or EPP, or Technology and Livelihood Education, TLE, instruction. The teacher should identify proper tools and equipment to use. The following must be considered in identifying tools to use in EPP or TLT. First, variety of tools appropriate for different content areas. Next, availability or tools in each subject area. Third, availability of the raw materials to be used. Fourth, adequate number of tools to be used by the learners. And lastly, adequate classroom or laboratory workspace. So next is appropriate learning resource to use in TLE. Subject area, appropriate materials to use. Home economics, pictures and images can be used when tools are not available. Videos, PowerPoint slides, decks and projector. Real materials like first sewing machine or garment materials. A. Hand sewing needles. B. Rotary cutter. C. Scissors. D. Machine needles. E. Pincushion. F. Prinking shears or scissors. G. Safety pins. H. Flat iron. I. Thread. G. Marking pencil. K. Seam ripper. L. Tape measure. So, mga siya ang mga materials sa sewing or garment materials. So next is cooking utensils. A. Knife. B. Chopping board. C. Tweezers. D. Ladle. E. Vegetable peeler. F. Frying pan. G. Cooking pot. So mga siyang mga tools na gamitin sa cooking. So next is pictures and images can be used when tools are not available. Simple tools like the ones that follow could be used too. A. Shovel. B. Axe. C. Bolo. D. Pick. E. Crowbar. F. Pitchfork. G. Insecticide. H. Cutlass. I. Hose. G. Spaders. K. Wheelbarrow hoe. Spades. G. Spades. K. Wheelbarrow hoe. So next is appropriate learning resources to use in TLE. Subject area, appropriate material to use. Industrial arts. First, hand tools. Pliers, hammers, screwdrivers, saw, rip saw, craft saw, keyhole saw, push pull rule, nails, adhesive tapes, cutter, pair of compasses. So, muna siya ang mga tools sa hand tools. So next is electrical tools. Hammers, claw hammers, ball pen, hammer, mallet, portable electric drill, slide cutting pliers. So mga siya ang mga electrical tools. So next is videos and PowerPoint slide decks can also be used to discuss other ways of using tools. So next is information and communication technology, ICT. Computer aided materials, PowerPoint slide decks, computer, desktop computer, laptop computer, tablets, and videos. So next is physical education has a wide range of material and technology to use to enhance and supplement PE instruction. The use of instructional materials has become a major instructional platform to facilitate cognition and skill performance. The following table gives suggestions in the use of learning materials in teaching PE. Materials and equipment used in teaching PE. Educational games, educational dance, educational gymnastics, physical fitness assessments. So educational games, playground balls, balls for striking, beach balls, yarn balls, balloons, flying dust, deck rings, plastic bottle bats, tennis rackets, strings with styrofoam, portable beams, standard nets, cones or jack markers, sport markers, basketball football, adjustable basketball, goals, soccer balls, parachute. So next is educational dance. Plastic hoops, styrofoam hoops, holders, rhythmic equipment, ankle wrist bells, rain stick, rope stick, drum with mallet, lumi sticks, stretchy material, dance, nylon scarves, jump bars, CD table player, cordless microphone, sound system. So next is educational gymnastic. Foam vaulting, trapezoid, styrofoam shapes, circle, triangles, ovals, wedge, mats, landing mats, incline mats, balance beams, benches, balance board, jumping boxes, shapes of varying heights, connecting ladder, hanging rows, jumping ropes. So next is physical fitness assessment. Seat and reach box for measuring flexibility, stopwatches, skin fold, calipers, modified chin up bar, and standards, fitness assessment and package.
So, other illustration of practice. Number 1. Teaching and learning resources to address learning goals. The teacher strategically selects from a huge array and wide variety of teaching and learning resources consistently aligned to the learning goals. He or she picks teaching and learning materials that help the learner understand the key concept or key skills. For example, the teacher is teaching independent reading. Part of the process is the learner's understanding of the unfamiliar words. The teacher encourages the learners to use handy dictionary or offline dictionary installed in an Android phone to look for word meanings. So, teaching and learning resources to address learning goals is it means that this the teacher utilizes their student learning resources which are consistently aligned with the learning goals. Teacher also consider the time element related to the use of teaching and learning resources, ensuring that materials are not used to consume entire teaching and learning contact time. Number 2. Teaching and learning resources including ICT to address learning goals. The teacher considers the learning resources management and development system or LRMDS portal of the Department of Education or DepEd, which are used across curriculum areas. For example, the teacher looks for a teaching material to be used to teach how to write a recount in English grade 7. In the LRMDS portal, the teacher found one material entitled Here Boy, a show and tell online illustration to how write a recount. So in teaching and learning resources including ICT to address learning goals, so it is all about technology and the teacher motivates their student to align the learning goals, consider the learning development and interest and readiness of their students. Teacher also modifies ICT based instruction if needed. And that's all. Thank you.